All right, guys, after a long drive from Colorado here to Arizona, we are here in Science of Speed, and we have Chris with us.
Hey all, nice to see you.
And we're super excited because this is kind of like a dream come true. This is a place I call Toys R Us for NSXs. It's the OGs of NSXs. But they're really awesome. They're gonna let us give a tour, and I'm excited, nervous, but mostly excited.
Awesome, well let's do a quick shop tour.
All right.
Come on back.
Those are the guys who make everyone happy back there.
You know it.
Look at this. All right.
So we have a number of projects going on in the shop right now. Why don't we start here? 6,000 mile, all original NSX, original 15-16 inch wheels. You wouldn't believe it, but this NSX is actually going to be getting Science of Speed Twin Turbo Kit, as well as a bunch of service to make sure that it's going to be reliable for years to come. This car is actually being exported to Brazil. So we'll be getting the car ready to ship here in the next couple weeks.
Well, that's pretty cool. Somebody from Brazil is taking a unicorn,
right,
and going all out.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Don't mind that.
Don't mind it.
This Midnight Purple NSX, this is getting our first supercharger kit for the NSX. So we've had the kit on and off a number of times, getting it fine-tuned, getting ready to premiere the supercharger kit next month.
And that's a big deal for you guys. That's a huge milestone because everybody's excited, has been using the Comtech supercharger, but you guys have a lot of history, a lot of technical background. You're introducing your supercharger kit. That's going to be really cool. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, so I'll show you some of the prototype parts. A little bit of history with that kit. You know, we've been using the Comtech and then later the CT Engineering base kits to take and basically kind of create a higher performance version of that, both with a larger supercharger, standalone engine management system, and intercoolers. When CT went out of business, you know, we were kind of unsure of, you know, what the you know, history was going to be or future was going to be with the parts. So we decided, you know, it's a great kit. It kind of has a number of, you know, issues that we were never 100% happy with, and we decided, hey, here's the opportunity to really make it right. So we did a bunch of you know, conceptualization through CAD modeling, and then later flow analysis to see what design works best. And we've now arrived at the point where the parts are in production, and we should be ready to start installing on cars next month.
That is really neat. In the Air Force, they have what they call the experimental aircrafts and the experimental pilot. So whoever's driving this thing is an experimental pilot for an awesome kit. I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
Cool. This NSX over here, this was brought to us from California. Major service, engine service. So we did, you know, your timing belt water pump, all of the hoses, some other miscellaneous type service items. And then we're going to be upgrading the ABS system to the later model NSX ABS.
Nice. And is that the S2000 ABS conversion, or is that just the later model one? Like,
no,
okay.
So we use the later model NSX modulator from the 2000 and later NSX. The reason is the programming of the modulator is specific to the NSX. Being mid-engine, the weight distribution is different than the S2000. I've heard a lot of people using the S2000 ones. It's definitely a less expensive option, but due to, you know, safety and liability, we feel that the NA2 modulator is the proper modulator to use.
Nice, that's awesome.
You want to flip around here. This Brooklyn's Green NSX is getting a J-Series conversion that we've built for the J32A3. It's not a kit that's necessarily in production yet. We're looking at various options for engine retrofits as the C-Series parts become less and less available. So he's going to be getting a J32 A3 engine plus our twin turbo kit made for that engine.
And how popular is that conversion swap?
You know, we have been toying around with the idea for a while. The J-Series engine is, you know, it's an exciting engine because the availability is pretty good. But it has a number of, you know, issues with putting the engine in successfully in a kind of a long-term, to make sure that we have long-term durability. So it's still something that we're doing in very limited scale. This is going to be our third conversion. So it's something that we're kind of still getting our feet wet because, again, there's a number of issues that we're not 100% happy with. So with more time with the cars and the engines, we'll become more comfortable with the configuration.
I mean, I think that's super awesome, because if you usually typically hear about people potentially swapping a K series in there or something like that. I know a guy who's putting a K series in a Lotus, but that's really neat to hear the J series. I don't know a lot about the specifications, but it's going to be neat to see that come out.
Sure.
So.
And moving on to the white car, this is one of our R&D cars, 97 3-liter automatic, 3-liter because it's an automatic. So we bought this car to do some R&D with the automatics. We've focused mostly on manual transmission over the years, including standalone engine management and supercharger kits and whatnot. So we're taking a little time to finish headers, which should be available, I believe, next week for the automatic cars. We've done all the testing on it. Pretty interesting gains. We'll be publishing that here soon. And then the next project on this car will be putting supercharger on and testing some of the durability.
You know, Chris, a lot of shops typically ignore the smaller segment of owners. Like me, I'm a big fan of any form of configuration of transmission, but that's really neat that you're also spending some R&D and some research time to offer some options for that transmission.
Sure.
Which is really neat. And I have to ask, is that your guys' wheel as well?
Yeah, those are the 2002 style forged wheels that we developed. This is my favorite fitment, which is why I put it on the car. It's a 17-inch front, 18-inch rear, washy gray finish.
Looks great.
I think it looks really good on the white cars, or all colors really.
Is that stock suspension?
That is factory springs on Bilstein shock absorbers.
Okay.
7/8 of an inch.
7/8 of an inch.
Yep.
Wow. Oh, I can't show you that, guys. You've got to. All right. Oh, I know that blue color steals your heart right away.
Right. So this is we call it the Science of Speed Dream Project, because literally it was a dream for both myself and the team here to be involved in. We built this car for Acura for the 2017 SEMA show. It has...
Well, I don't mean to interrupt. Did you just say you built it for Acura?
Right.
For the SEMA show?
Right. Yeah, so this is at 2017 SEMA show. It's been here back and forth a couple times. It was brought back to us to add some of our new parts. So we have the JB4 tuning system that allows us to increase horsepower by about 100. So the car's pretty fast on the street. Really enjoy driving it. It has basically our entire catalog, including some parts that haven't yet released yet, including this GT High Wing spoiler. The side rockers and ducts were released actually yesterday. So those are available now. You can see along here on the side. These carbon strakes are increased by about 20 millimeters over factory.
Wow, that looks...
And we have those ducts, which aren't found on the factory car, coming in the front here.
It actually gives it a really cool, some additional dimension. That is really neat.
So in the front of the car, we have these canards. We built these to help direct airflow to the side-mounted intercoolers. So some of the aero parts will be released here shortly. We're getting the spoilers, low-rise spoiler done first, and then the GT High Wing spoiler will follow pretty soon.
I mean, this is beautiful, and the wheel combination, the color combination, it just looks great. And you know, guys, I really can't give this car justice. I wasn't sure if the guys here at Science of Speed will let me come over. They said yes, so I went to Best Buy and I bought a GoPro just so we could do this video. So I'm sure this GoPro is going to do good.
Yeah, if you guys want to check out a kind of more in-depth review on this car on our YouTube channel in the next 1 to 2 weeks, we'll have a video kind of released about this car.
And this is beautiful. I mean, this is definitely, it makes sense now that it's a SEMA car, because it's just above anything I've seen.
Yeah, I'll show you one of the features that this car has is the suspension lift system. So the suspension lift system was developed with a company called iLift. Works with the factory shock absorbers to raise the car about 2 inches. NSX has pretty low overhangs from the factory, and of course with some of the aero stuff on the car, it's even lower. So if you pull back and check out the front wheel, when you click the up switch, car raises and lowers to get over speed bumps, you know, curbs, steep driveways, that sort of thing.
And something you definitely need in real life, because that beautiful front end needs to stay beautiful.
So if you flip the camera around, so that was...
See, Chris said flip the camera around, but if you notice something about Chris, he's like, yeah, we have this amazing SEMA car by Acura, and this... Guys, look at this, and when I turn this camera, you're gonna blow. Here it goes, Chris.
So that's new tech, this is old tech, but this is a really special NSX. So this car was brought to us to do some minor service and to address a calibration issue on the tachometer gauge. It's a all original, genuine NA1 NSXR, very rare. About 600 some odd were produced. I don't know the specific numbers off the top of my head, but a very rare model. Only for the Japanese market. It's right-hand drive, of course, being for the Japanese market. Essentially, it's a lighter weight, you know, more raw, condensed version of the NSX. If you want to come around here, I'll open the driver's side door. I've actually had a hard time with the car being here. I keep walking over to the left side, realizing that's not the door to drive the car with.
I still, when Chris told me that this interior was from the 90s, I was like, no, that can't make sense, because this is Alcantara. And look at that, look at the dash, guys. It's absolutely gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And they were doing this in the 90s, and you know, go ahead and Google when Ferrari was doing this. A lot later.
So to let you know, NS Expo, you know, the annual gathering of NSX owners was postponed this year because of COVID. They are doing a virtual NS Expo, which I think is really cool to kind of get people together. You know, doing this for actually this would be 20 or 21st year of going to NS Expos for me. Anyways, the cars absolutely are the point. But really, the reason we all get together annually is really kind of to connect with each other, because, you know, friends from not only across the country but really worldwide, this is our one time a year to get together. So I really appreciate that the club's doing something to still allow us to connect. So that being said, we shot a really cool video about this car, and that's going to be premiered next month at the virtual NS Expo meet. So if you're not familiar with it, a lot of the Facebook groups are, you know, publishing information about this virtual meet. So take a look at it. If you have any questions, you can go to the NSXCA website. It's nsxca.org.
That's awesome. Well, I know that all the guys are going to be blown away by this. I know that I've been making friends in the NSX Prime world, and like Richard, and, you know, Kenny's always making fun of Post, and just everybody's always willing to help each other out, and that's something about the NSX community I've never seen with any other community.
Sure.
Just
yeah, that's a valid point.
I've never seen it, and that's what makes it, the car special and the people special.
Sure,
and you know what's really neat? I don't want to run away from this NSX, because so many of us, including me, is just trying to slowly replicate this car.
Sure.
You know, like the engine maintenance thing, which is really cool thing. What do you say? Lid.
They call it maintenance lid.
And look, it's actually got the real black coolant expansion tank.
Yeah, so something kind of different and unusual about this car is it's the only NSX that has, other than black NSXs, a black painted engine bay. But Honda went further and painted a number of the bolts to reduce the reflection in the rear view mirror. And they went even further by, if you see some of the electrical connectors, they have these little EPDM rubber booties on them. And the whole point of that is to reduce the UV degradation from the engine being exposed. So, you know, typical Honda fashion, it's very well engineered, and it's something that seeing this car in person and being able to, I've seen a couple NSX cars, I've been able to drive one in Japan on a racetrack before, but to actually kind of spend time with the car and see this level of engineering has really you know, made me appreciate the level that Honda goes to when it comes to things like that.
Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know a lot about NSXs. I'm learning. I've had mine for a little over a year now, and I have to ask this because maybe there's other people like that as well. Driving a stock one, you know, kind of like mine, like a red one like mine over there, compared to this, is it night and day?
It is, and a lot of people, you know, both with the Zanardi Edition NSX and even these, you know, they look at the price of what they're selling them for now. There's a very special Zanardi Edition NSX being sold on Bring a Trailer now, and I think last time I checked it's like 300-something thousand. And a lot of people discount that as, you know, it's just some parts Honda threw at the car, and they're no big deal. It's just like my car. I could, you know, do the same thing. At first, before I drove a Zanardi Edition NSX, I had the same opinion. After driving them, the way that all of the small changes cumulatively build up to improve that driving experience, I can tell you after driving this car, after driving multiple Zanardi Edition NSXs, both on the street and on the track, they are completely different from a standard NSX. And, you know, the standard NSX is an impressive baseline to begin with, but they are special, and they are very special to drive. The way they drive is very unique. Some of it is the combination of parts. You know, Zanardi Edition, for example, it's the only coupe, 6-speed, 3.2 liter with the weight reduction. You know, things that they've done similar to the same as the Type S NSX in Japan. All of those little changes, they make a big difference, and it's surprisingly so. And, you know, it's unfortunate that the cars are becoming rarer and more expensive, to the point that, you know, we may see less of them at, you know, meets and whatnot. But the good thing is there's still, you know, the opportunities, like at NSXpo, for example. Last year, a gentleman brought his NA1 NSXR down from Canada, and it was there in the meeting hall. People were sitting in it, and he was kind of giving them tours of the car.
Cool.
And I really think that's like one of the best things about events like NSXpo, is that it kind of gives that opportunity for NSX enthusiasts to get together. And there's a lot of NSX enthusiasts that, yeah, they're, you know, the cars are getting rarer, but they're still bringing them around, and I think that's really, really cool.
That's true. Well, I can't state how excited to just be here, the hit the lottery timing wise to see this car. But I do want to point something out. Since this car is a limited edition car, there is a lot of components that are tested and true and are just great for the NSX. And that's one thing I love about Science of Speed and other companies as well. But you guys bring some of the NSX Type S, like, fun parts of it, the great parts, and make it accessible to regular NSXs, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. You know, that you'd asked about, you know, how we still do service, but the majority of our business is parts related, and that is true. Most of our business is internet, you know, mail order and whatnot. But the service department and our ability to gain first-hand experience with these cars is really integral to our ability to produce good parts. So, you know, you had mentioned, you know, the Type S, for example. When I drove the Zanardi Edition NSX, there was just, as silly as it sounds, and I've said this before, and I realize it sounds ridiculous, but driving that car with that shift knob and that, you know, linkage gear selector, it was like a completely different car. And I, you know, having an NSX at the time, I was like, I gotta have one. I want one of those things. And at the time, they were like, I want to say like $250 or something like that. Now they're like, you know, 300, 350. I don't know off the top of my head. And we took that part, you know, modeled it, had it machined, spent way too much time dialing in the finish of the knob so that, you know, the experience was the same. And, you know, it's available now at Science of Speed's website to buy, to put on any NSX. But it's funny, you know, going back to the Type S NSX and the Zanardi NSX, the little things make such a big difference. And when it's like the right little thing, it really improves the just driving experience of the car.
I totally know what he's talking about as far as the shift knob goes, because I picked one up and I love it. So I have to just look in here, because look at that shift knob right there too, guys. I don't know if you could see, looks like this car has a little bit of tint. It's pretty cool, but we're gonna have to walk away from this Type R. Bye bye, Type R.
So let's head this direction. several years ago, we built this facility. This is our Superflow all-wheel drive dyno. We're in a sound suppressed dyno cell. Go ahead and walk in.
Woo.
I don't know if you can hear it in the audio, but the walls of the dyno cell are sound suppressed. So when the cars are going full tilt outside, you can barely hear them in a shop and barely hear them outside. We use this dyno not only for tuning, but really for the primary purposes for product development. So for example, this is a 2018 NSX that we are testing our new intercooler upgrade kit. It's a pretty cool product. The core of the intercooler is actually the same core used in modern Formula One cars. The intercooler that's in here now is the factory one. So we're doing some baseline testing with the JB4 module so that we can determine what the factory baseline number is, and then change only the intercooler and do a repeat test under the same conditions to let us really understand what the intercooler is doing for performance on the car.
So I don't know about you guys, but I'm gonna ask Chris. Chris, when do you sleep?
NSX guys have been keeping us very busy for a very long time. Picking up the second generation NSX was definitely a really big milestone for us, in the way that we were dealing with essentially late 80s Honda technology for 15 some odd years, and we had the opportunity to get really good with cars and understand them really well. But these cars being such a jump in technology, we actually spent, before the NSX was even going to be released, we spent about a year getting more familiar with the newer technology that we were going to get experience with. So that's why that one R8 that you saw up front, we bought a V8 R8 and a V10 R8 to get more familiar with some of the common technology between what we thought the new NSX was going to have. So, all-wheel drive, extensive CAN networking, direct injection fuel system. So we used the R8s to kind of get us up to speed with some of the newer technology that we expected to be in the new NSX. And it took us a good 6 months or so before we even had products for sale for these cars, because there was so much to learn, like even to just know how to dyno the cars because of the petrol electric rear power plant, but the twin motor unit in the front, to learn how to dyno them repeatedly so that we could actually show legitimate power gains, was a really, really big project for us. And we've gotten to the point now where we understand them fairly well, but we learn new things every day.
I could totally see that. I mean, especially when the technology, like you were saying, all this drive-by-wire technology, all of this, everything's controlling itself, the suspension, the engine. It's just, I mean, these cars, I'm just happy that Acura paid homage and actually did the NSX right.
Sure.
I don't want to seem like one of those people who are like, by the way, I have, but, like the Supra, we all know, I really think that this NSX is just, I think they hit it out of the ballpark, in my opinion.
You're probably going to get some comments from that comment. Being an NSX owner for, more than 20 years now, I definitely see where people come from of, hey, the new NSX, it's not the original. And the fact is, it's not the original. Things have changed. The gap in time and technology from 2005 to 2016, 2017, there's an enormous amount of gains in technology during that span of time. So naturally, the car is going to be different. And while it definitely drives differently than the new NSX or the original NSX, there are some, I think there is some DNA, between the two cars. And the most important thing is a lot of the engineers and designers that were working on this car were NSX owners. And they weren't like the cars were borrowed by Honda and they're driving it home on the weekend or whatever. No, they were legitimate NSX owners. And so a lot of the guiding principles of this car were generated by NSX owners and enthusiasts, just like the two of us, to kind of design this car and bring it to where it is. So yes, it is very different. I encourage anybody that has something negative to say, drive one first before having an opinion on the car, because once you drive it, you'll understand it. It is a different car, but the way it drives and the way that they've integrated the electrified powertrain just as a driving experience is really, really cool.
And I have to say this because, you know, I love cars. I might have, when I was in the military, I might have blown a lot of money on cars and cheap cars, but cars still. And you really can't understand the personality of a car, and you really can't understand how it works just by test driving it. Like, and what I mean, not towards you, but just towards somebody who might have walked into an Acura dealership, took it out for a quick test drive, came back and made a final assessment. I just think it's just not right, because I think you have to go through all its paces and understand it through real life and everything. And I think just the car's design, you know, Larry from Ammo NYC talked about it's got one of the best paint processes out there. That's a great video as well. I mean, I personally love it. I've never driven one, but the looks alone make me happy, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Well, why don't we head this way?
So that's the turbo you're putting it in there?
Yeah, that's the big turbo. It's belt driven.
Yeah,
so
belt driven.
Maybe more like a supercharger.
Spool time 2022.
Well, I'll take you back here.
Team members, awesome people.
So just a quick pop into our fabrication area.
Oh,
This is Preston.
Hello.
Preston's one of two fabricators that we have. We do all of our fabrication work in-house, including second-gen downpipes. We also do, for the first-gen, exhaust and headers, which I'll show you here momentarily. So we brought this part of the business in-house about 4 or 5 years ago because we really wanted to kind of control the quality of those products. So Preston's working on a second-gen downpipe, NSX downpipe now. We have quite a few of those in the market now. It really kind of wakens up the car and makes it sound like a proper exotic, like it is.
and remember guys, I just stopped in here because look how clean the area is. And Preston is not just doing a downpipe, he's an artist. Because to do those welds and to put all that together is artist work.
Yeah, we like to see it that way.
Well, you're doing a great job. Yeah. Nice to meet you. Yeah.
All right, let's check out the engine build room. So this is Jeff. He's putting together a C30 engine for a customer. This is our stage 1 engine. It's capable of 500 horsepower with a supercharger or turbocharger. This particular one might be left naturally aspirated, kind of to be determined by the owner. So Jeff, why don't you explain what you're working on?
Just checking the oil pump. We're reusing the stock unit that came off the engine. It was decently low miles, so we tear it apart, clean it, and I'm just checking clearance on the gears themselves to make sure that they're within spec and we're not going to run into oiling issues, which is obviously very important. So pretty much just verifying the pump's still good to use on this motor. Other than that, now that I have the rotating assembly together, it's kind of just getting the parts back on it and get the cylinder heads on, and it'll be a complete stage 1 basically.
So Jeff, when we're all kids and we're all like, when I grow up I want to tinker with engines, you actually did it.
Yeah, I guess I was one of those kids. I just like taking stuff apart and putting it back together, and just kind of ran with it through the years, you know, and fortunately was able to work at, you know, other shops and gain a lot of experience working with some other techs and stuff. And yeah, here I am today, and I'm building NSX motors.
In a cool shop.
And, yeah, in a cool shop, a nice engine room, so I can't complain.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
well, thanks Jeff for telling us about it. I didn't even realize it's this small.
Yeah, the block itself's pretty small. The cylinder heads are actually what's fairly large on these engines.
And is there, you think there's any weak points here? You know, in the NSX, if I'm wrong, and oh, people are gonna get mad. Are they titanium connecting rods?
Yeah, the
yes.
factory rods are titanium. Yeah, so very lightweight. We don't recommend it, but we have pushed them close to almost 800 horsepower with, you know, rod bolts and some other supporting, you know, goodies to go along with it. But yeah, factory rods are pretty stout.
That's awesome.
And can't beat titanium for the, you know, the weight savings.
So in the 90s, they did a pretty good job thinking this through.
For, yeah, being somewhat mass production type of engine, it's actually pretty impressive that they got away with using titanium rods.
So one time I posted it on the Facebook page. I said, I hit the rev limiter a couple of times. Did I hurt the engine? People are like laughing. It's gonna be okay, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. The only issues that these may run into if you over rev them is you'll get valve to piston contact.
Okay.
And you can bend the valves by over revving them because basically the valves start floating. You know, on like a bad miss shift above 8,000 RPM, you can have valve to piston contact.
That's now on the S2000s, notorious on the AP2 for really tight exhaust valve clearance. Is there any valve clearance issues with the NSX?
No, typically we don't see the issues like we do with the S2000 where the valve seats on the exhaust side tend to want to sink into the head, which then changes your valve clearance, making it tighter. And if you don't stay on top of your valve adjustments, you'll end up, you know, putting burn spots in the seats or the valves. But yeah, with the NSX heads, we never really have issues with them like you see on the S2000. They seem to hold the clearance pretty well for a lot of miles.
Now, I wasn't testing, Jeff, but while I'm here, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Nice meeting you.
You too.
Well, there's very few people in the country that have had 15 some odd years experience with the NSX.
Yeah.
I think I'd have to look at the records, but this is probably a number 150 or some odd NSX engines that we've done major rebuilds on, and Jeff has done them all, and it's very reliable.
Yeah. I've done more than I can count at this point. I lost track.
I need to get a little plate to put it right here. Hand built by Jeff.
Yeah.
It was nice meeting you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, why don't we end the tour in the product warehouse. This is where all the good stuff is. You can see some of the headers that I was talking about a little bit ago. These are headers for the first gen NSX. We have some turbo components for our twin turbo kit. We have downpipes here, and these are the exhaust manifolds that bolt to the cylinder heads.
And this is Jeff's work?
This is Nick and Preston's work in the fabrication area.
So there's some more mad scientists. So I call this the Toys R Us of NSX.
Yeah,
it's like one of these.
A lot of good stuff in here for sure. This is another Jeff and Nick, our lead fabricator.
Hi. Some more mad scientists.
Yeah. So a lot of NSX parts, S2000 parts in here. New shelf space gearing up, getting ready for the supercharger kit. So again, we should have that online here in about a month. So we're back up front. Want to show you some of the work that Mick here has been working on. He's Science of Speed's product design engineer. He has the supercharger kit model. This is the modeling software we use called SolidWorks. It's allowed us to develop the kit, do some initial fitment testing, and set up some of the tests for the flow analysis.
That is so epic. I mean, just in our tour alone, we have seen some dream jobs. Engine builders, and then we have a mad scientist with SolidWorks. And what is your favorite part of designing? I have to ask you.
Just the fact that you get to basically build anything that you can dream up and then find a way of actually making it into a reality somehow.
That is awesome. Well, guys, this is literally the blueprints to almost everything that you use, guys. It has to be designed by someone like Mick, and this is how you do it, because you learn your tolerances, you learn everything. Everything is to spec as he designs it. Am I right?
Yeah, or as long as the machinist does their job.
A little bit of interdepartmental conflict not played. It's always fun to have work. Fun to have fun at work. That is awesome. Well, thank you, Mick, for showing us. I have to ask, I'm a gamer, but I don't know what that is. Yeah.
That's from Battlestar, no, Stargate.
Stargate.
Stargate Atlantis.
Nice. Oh, you probably hate me. I'm a TNG guy and a Deep Space Nine guy.
Nope.
Yeah.
Those are good as well.
All right. So real quickly, who's better captain, Picard or Cisco?
Cisco.
Oh, yeah, Cisco. Nice. Well, it was nice meeting you, Mick. Thanks for showing us around.
Yep.
And I look forward to seeing that supercharger kit.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
That's a cool poster, by the way. All right, guys. It's been an amazing time here, and I have to thank Chris and his awesome staff for letting me stop by and check out the spot.
Hey, no problem. And what he didn't tell you is he brought treats, some awesome looking donuts. So thank you, appreciate it.
It's the standard if you go anywhere. Thanks, guys, for watching, and make sure to check out Science of Speed. And I've got a lot of stuff to follow, including that supercharger kit. All right, guys, stay
Thanks
tuned.
for joining us.
Bye.